For 238 years, the Marine Corps has been involved in every single American conflict and has been a decisive factor in most of them. Since its founding in 1775, they have come to have a reputation of no better friend, no worse enemy. However, near the end of every conflict, there is talk of folding the Corps back into the Navy and Army. The primary reasons given are that the Marine Corps' duties overlap with those of the Army's. Since 9/11, many Marines have never set foot aboard a ship, but rather are sent straight to Iraq or Afghanistan after their training. This doctrine for the past decade has led many to believe that in this time of fiscal austerity that there is no need for a second land army. This is where they are wrong. The Marine Corps fills a gap between the primary conventional army and special forces, and is built off the MAGTAF, or Marine Air Ground Task Force. Everything the Marine Corps uses is organic except the ships they launch from. That is everything from supplies to close air support. That means that the MAGTAF is self-sufficient and does not have to rely on other services for support, whereas the Army has to rely on the Air Force and Navy for close air support, logistics, and transportation. There are 4 types of MAGTAF: a Marine Expeditionary Unit, a Marine Expeditionary Brigade, a Marine Expeditionary Force, and then the Special Purpose MAGTAF Crisis Response. They are all centered around Marine infantry units and all have logistics, aviation, and other ground support elements as part of their force structure. Their size varies from 400 to 30,000 Marines. The Marine Corps is essentially America's crisis response force. Whenever you hear of something happening in America or anywhere in the world, whether it be a natural disaster or in the Pacific or evacuating an embassy in North Africa, the Marines are always there first to help and respond. In the realm of conflict, the Marines have always been the first conventional forces to be deployed. In World War II, while the Army was struggling to mobilize, the Marines were ready and immediately sent troops to defend Iceland from the Germans, and then subsequently started the Pacific Campaign at Guadalcanal before the Army even stepped off for the North Africa Campaign. After 9/11, the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit was the first conventional force in Afghanistan after the special operations conducted by the CIA and U.S. Army Rangers, and then later led the way to Baghdad in Iraq in 2003. However, like all service branches, the Corps is downsizing dramatically. If it were its own country, the Marine Corps would still outnumber countries such as Israel and Germany in the number of active duty personnel at 194,000. That number is down from a high of 204,000 and is headed for an end strength of 183,000. Deep fiscal cuts have threatened to cut that all the way down to a dangerous 150,000. If Marine manpower were to drop to that number, it would be hard for the Corps to sustain all the missions they do worldwide. The Marines are the only branch of the military that is continuously deployed. The Marine Expeditionary Unit is the centerpiece of that capability. Out of 6 MEUs, 2 are deployed while the others are preparing to deploy, or in stand-down just after a deployment. Cutting the manpower to 150,000 starts to hamper the ability to sustain constant MEU deployment, not to mention the Marines' other duties such as embassy security. However, these cuts are small considering the big picture, where the Marine Corps only counts as 6% of the entire Department of Defense budget. But that budget packs a considerable punch. For that 6%, the country gets a very large portion of combat-effective assets, and amounts to the average Marine costing the taxpayer $20,000 less than the next closest man in any other branch. So in summary, the Marine Corps is a very cost-effective force designed to be America's middleweight offensive fighting force. Its units are self-sustaining and effective across the entire spectrum of warfare and military operations other than war. When the flag was raised in Iwo Jima, the Secretary of the Navy at the time, James Forrestal, said the raising of the flag on Mount Suribachi means a Marine Corps for the next 500 years. And I don't think Congress has any plans on changing that anytime soon.